Introduction to a Dark Tale. Imagine wanting to test a time machine you developed or bought. I must tell you that when travelling between countries, people feel hungry and hunt for food. Imagine going through time and skipping a few years in an instant. You'll feel hungry and hunt for food. Follow me attentively. A little northern town called Point Boulevard is in Maryland, USA in 1996. This place is reached by roadway. Just 500 metres into town, on the right is a modest burger stand. A gigantic, bald, 2-metre tall, 200-kilogram man with several tattoos runs this kiosk. A throng will likely gather there. The man is working hard, God bless him. Be cautious eating from him, brother. Simply put, he produces pig burgers. Because it's blended with human meat, this pig is unlike any other hog or meat you've ever seen. Can you imagine the horror? Can you imagine the horror? This is the story. Imagine this kiosk's owner. Before starting the burger company, he was timid and introverted despite his height and attractiveness. Everyone teased him for his weight and odd appearance. Despite his mistreatment, he never injured anyone. He married his lover and had a child. After his kid reached 6, a life-changing event transformed him from the gentle bear to the cannibal, a man-eater. Introducing William and Joseph Metheny. To introduce myself, I'm William, and I discuss Earth's unique and enigmatic phenomena. I'll tell you a narrative you may have heard before, but there are many things I'll tell you today that have never been told before and are being exposed for the first time. We'll learn about Joseph Roy Metheny, the most deadly U.S. serial murderer. Joseph Roy Metheny was born in Baltimore, Maryland on February 3, 1955. Joseph lived with his father, mother and 6 brothers as the youngest. Their little abode barely fit 4 individuals. The family chose to move to Point Boulevard, a northern town with a larger house. Joseph never left this place as I described at the start of the film. Soon you'll understand its significance. After their father died in a vehicle accident, they fled here and things improved. The mother stayed with her 6 children, the eldest 16 years old. The mother was their only support during difficult times. Joseph was 6. Note this age because it will come up again. The key is that his father's death greatly touched him. After that, the youngster became quiet, talked little, and avoided his siblings. He had psychiatric therapy, but his condition didn't improve. He started talking but misbehaved. Bullying exacerbated the pressure. They bullied him for his fat and girth, which were inappropriate for his age. Many nicknames arose. His family and close friends dubbed him Joe the Gentle Bear. But his friends called him the Idiot Blob, the Polar Bear, the Ugly Monster, and others. Despite this, he was always courteous and cheerful, and never seemed troubled by them. Note that this point contrasts starkly with what will happen subsequently. Joe acted this manner until he reached 18 and entered the army for his 2-year required duty. He returned a changed man, and Joe Metheny's story started. Leaving his family and moving in alone was his first step. Where? It didn't matter. He wanted to leave his old life. After moving out, he worked at a burger restaurant and learned how to make it. Working and sleeping at the restaurant was his life. He learnt to blend spices, chop and prepare meat. The restaurant owner taught him everything about cooking, and he became competent. The restaurant owner taught him a spice combination and cooking process that made any meat taste good, as if he knew Joe would design a new meat mix that needed well-arranged spices in a few years. Joe met a weird bunch of junkies who drank everything banned. After working at the restaurant, he and his pals went to abandoned houses and drank everything to change their moods till dawn. If it left them mindless, they would eat it all. Joe was sacked from his work for his deplorable circumstances and started sleeping beneath the bridge or in abandoned houses where he used to hang out with the men. Joe fell in love with Katie amid this wonderful environment of darkness, alcohol, drugs and everything that opposes God and traditional marriage. He admired her morals in contrast to his environment. After a month together they married, unlike his environment. When he felt responsible, Joe started switching employment inside Point Boulevard. Joe was friendly and likable. So many offered him employment. He wasn't dangerous despite his bad turn of partying, drinking and drugging. Instead, he was kind and helpful. His child was named Roy after his father. He always maintained that he hoped to have a son and name him after his father, who had the greatest influence on his life despite his early death. The most valuable thing to Joe was his child, who received all of his emotions. He cherished him and said that his son Roy had kept him alive. He continued in this manner until his child was 6. Joe's truck driving profession included a lengthy voyage that took him 2 days away from home. Joe arrived on the 3rd day to discover the house unoccupied. It was July 1994. Joe returned to find the house empty. His wife and child were nowhere to be seen. His wife stole their child, all of his savings, and all of their important belongings and fled with her boyfriend, he later discovered. Nobody knows where Joe is now. When he felt he was about to lose his child, he erupted into a rage, dashed into the street, yelled and wailed, and searched everywhere for his wife. He claims he proceeded to the same places he used to go with her without realizing it until he arrived at the bridge where they did narcotics. When he didn't see her and found nothing, something inside him told him it was over. Joe went on to become the cannibal, the deadliest serial killer in the United States. Joe yelled and screamed beneath the bridge as he knew his life would never be the same. He yelled and wept. He spotted 2 30-year-old homeless men doing drugs under the bridge. These 2 paved the way for Joe to become America's deadliest serial killer. Joe stood among the rusty metal bars. I grabbed one and assaulted the guys. They awoke and shrieked as they saw his terrifying face assaulting them, despite being inebriated and oblivious. 2 people died after being pounded for 15 minutes. Joe awoke, realizing his folly. His initial response was to flee. As he fled, he observed someone on the riverbank far away and imagined he had watched his actions. Because he observed everything, he attacked and killed him. He escaped after killing him. Later, the police arrested him while investigating and suspecting him, but he was released after 18 months due to a lack of evidence. He moved to an abandoned trailer on the town's outskirts. He waited at the town gate every day for his wife to return and deliver his child. He used opioids at night and waited for his child to arrive in the city during the day. Despite not knowing where his wife was, he vowed revenge. However, he discovered that his wife was a whore, and he was forced to murder every woman who resembled her. He found his wife was a whore late in life, but better late than never. The important thing is that Joe made this decision after witnessing a 45-year-old woman named Kathy who resembled his wife. Kathy had a friend named Kimberly, who was 23 years old. Joe met them in 1996 while working at a city-area burger restaurant. They came to his restaurant for the delicious meals. The unfortunates had no idea what would happen. Once the connection was established, they began visiting his trailer on a daily basis to consume drugs. After taking a bunch, Joe spontaneously took a knife and started stabbing them, thinking Kathy looked like his wife. He stabbed her neck 3 times and killed her instantaneously. Kimberly resisted but died after being stabbed more than 16 times. After they died, he sat between them, planning his escape. He dissected the corpses with the same knife, bagged them, and stored them in the fridge, saying, "I'll leave them there until God provides a way out, and then we'll know what to do with them." The next day, while marinating meat at work, he had an idea for a lucrative endeavour. He went on thinking, "I have the meat, I have the spices, and I'm an expert in preparing burgers. So why not use my skills and knowledge to build a food cart?" With this thought, he took some restaurant pork and spice containers home and started working on them. He took the bags out of the fridge, sliced the girl's flesh, mixed it with pig, added spices and cried out, "God!" The next day he set up the cart and sold. Nobody noticed the flavour or understood they were consuming human meat. After gaining clientele, all of the truck drivers travelling through town began to stop by to taste his delicious burgers. He realised his error after selling all of his beef in just 3 days. "The issue, my buddy, is not killing or selling human flesh, but running out of meat." He had to act because people appreciated the mixture, which demanded human flesh. Joe possessed a conscience. He went on, "Okay, I need to kill people to get meat, but I won't kill just anyone." The man made the decision, "I won't kill just anyone." To get revenge on his wife and complete the project, he first murdered every night girl. He also stipulated that the night girl he killed be a stranger in town with no links. She couldn't work at a nightclub and avoid notice. His primary focus was always on illegal immigrants. Nobody inquires about their formal documents. Finally, he had to murder any woman who resembled his wife, whether she was a sex worker or not. One of his victims was an undocumented Mexican immigrant. The person approached him at the cart, began chatting, and informed him that he had arrived in the country only a few days before. He appears to have died by fate. "Come with me to the trailer where I live," he said, offering a free hamburger. He killed, dismembered, and seasoned him there. At least once a year, Joe sold pure human meat with no other components. Over 27 people were killed during this period. Over 27 people, including 14 sex workers, were killed. Because it was overcrowded with homeless people without shelter or identity, he always went beneath the bridge where he committed his first crime. He easily persuaded them to go to the trailer because they were drug addicts. According to all accounts, Joe lured his victims for murder, not pleasure or entertainment. Everything was okay until he introduced Rita, a sex prostitute. Joe was unaware that Rita was a gymnast and ballet dancer. She battled him as he grabbed the knife and approached her in the trailer. When she escaped, he pursued her like a fanatic, knowing that if he didn't catch her, everything would be revealed. Rita scaled a 3-meter wall and escaped, which is unusual. He was apprehended and interviewed within an hour of her arrival at the police station. Joe made no attempt to resist or conceal anything after being arrested. He provided all of the information they requested and led the cops to the location where he buried the bodies. More than 14 severed heads were discovered and could not be used in the burger. The point is that he admitted to everything. And what prompted him to confess was that he had lost hope of seeing his child again and understood he couldn't return to the city entry. After admitting all of his faults, he was able to wait for his son and lost interest in life. He was initially sentenced to death, but his drug use throughout all of his actions reduced the sentence to life in solitary confinement. Imagine Joe was imprisoned from 1998 to 2017, making his punishment 1,000 times more severe than the death penalty. On May 8, 2017, the guard arrived to bring him lunch, but found him on the floor. Joe died at the age of 62 on that particular day. The most lethal serial murderer in the United States, Joseph Metheny, has died. our story for today. I hope you